Welcome to No Room for Phonies.
Episode 137.
And this is just a follow-up to the book that we did last time called The Mother Dance by Harriet Lerner. And this is just the lessons of motherhood. And I did a bit of reading to come up with some of these, but there also some of them are just from my own experience as a mother. So the first quote is from The Mommy Wars by Brandy Zadronsky. I don't know how I said it.
Sounds good enough.
Show me a mother and I'll show you a woman who feels guilty for something, thanks in no small part to the judgmental internet musings of other moms who've made different choices.
Sounds very right on target.
It is totally right on target. When I see some of the posts of young moms and how they are trying to make everything just look so amazing with their kids.
Instagrammable.
And
TikTok perfect.
Yeah. So anyway, I could go into the details of it, but I won't. So my number one lesson of motherhood is to embrace differences in the women that you are around.
Okay.
And the families that you are around without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody does things their own way.
And nobody, as a parent, actually knows how to do it perfectly, and there's no manual on how to do it perfectly, and every child is different and unique, and every couple is unique. And
when we went to visit that couple that you were friends with in
British Columbia,
yeah, and their kids were just like wild, but they're grown men and they're very successful.
And
they have kids of their own, but it's just it was a cultural thing. And so that leads right into number 2, which is actually to trust your instincts. Like for me now, it's more like
but I don't think we have instincts to be like a great mom or a great dad.
You have instincts that kind of come from your heart.
Okay.
About that. Like how you for example, as a mother of grown kids, if I feel like I need to call them or send them a text, or that's an instinct. Oh, I need to.
Right. Yeah, the radar works.
Yes. And then number 3 is really that it's all about perspective. And sometimes you need to take a step back from yourself and kind of go, wait a minute, I'm getting a little bit too intense here, or I'm expecting a little bit too much of myself.
And to do the 5 rule. The rule of 5s. Will it matter in 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 years?
And no woman is an island. You do need people to help you. And I think that's one of the biggest issues of motherhood is that
and I think it's one of the biggest
to do that.
Yeah. I think it's one of the biggest lies of that internet comparison thing.
Yes. Yes, is that you can do it all. Because you can't do it all. It's not possible to
do it all.
So, and then number 5, and this is something I wasn't very good at as a younger mom, but self-care is not selfish. And it doesn't mean that you have to go to a $300 spa or whatever.
Or that every evening from 6 to 8, you get to go to your reading room.
Yeah, no, that's not that. But it is about saying, I'm not feeling well, I'm going to go lie down, or I'm this, or I need to go for a 15-minute walk by myself.
And
even if you work all day and you haven't seen your kids.
Yep.
Like sometimes you
just need that downtime. And the commute hasn't been long enough.
No. And number 6 is you can't please everyone or anyone sometimes.
Sometimes you can't please each child at every moment.
No.
You can't please your spouse at every moment.
You can't please your in-laws or the grandparents or whatever.
Best friends, co-workers, etc.
Number 7 is everyone grows at their own pace. So you have to kind of step back again and say, my child may not do this at a certain time, or I may need to help them, but that's okay as long as, sorry, I've got a big yawn, as long as they're actually growing, because number 8, growth is necessary. You need to grow as a parent, and you need to, change, and you need to think about how you want to approach things. And when something you're doing, like, what does it say? The biggest sign of crazy or whatever is doing
repeating the same
thing
stupid thing the same
over
way
and
over and over again.
So when you're
That's
trying,
a sign that you're stagnant and
Yeah.
stuck.
so you need to grow in your parenting skills and in your way you approach things and in your level of whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 9 is to appreciate the small things. And then number 10, probably the
Like
most
the
important.
like the wilted dandelions in sweaty palms. And
Yes. Yes. And give up the quest for perfection, because that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen for anybody in the picture.
So that's kind of some mindset. And then I just did a few things that motherhood has actually taught me. And you're never not a mother, even when your kids are older. It's still the same. It's different, but it's not as intense at times. But then at times it's super intense. So number 1 is to manage your expectations. And I always try to ensure that I'm being respected, and I always make my boundaries clear.
Yep.
Not always, but I try.
And that has grown through your life as you've matured.
For sure.
Yeah.
Number 2, if my wallet walks through your door, I have a say
in your life.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
if I give you a gift, I don't. If I say this is a gift, I'm giving it to you, that's fine. But if I'm helping to pay your rent,
and it's important to articulate that to the child you're giving it to, so that it's spoken out loud and that your brain hears it and that you remember it.
Yeah. But if I'm paying your rent or your car payment or
cell phone bills,
then I have a say. Motherhood at any stage isn't easy, so you really do need a support system. And I'm super lucky to have my Friday group, because we're all we were laughing the other day at each of us have helped our kids move within the last 6 months. We all just seem to be at that stage of motherhood.
And everybody had a slightly different version of the story. But
for sure.
very
but
supportive.
It's good to find those people that are kind of at your stage of mothering.
And for us, because you lost your mom, you had to find your own support system in other moms. And other women.
Yes, for sure. And I don't know that my mother would I have some friends that are older women, but they're not at my stage of mothering.
No. So
it's very different. Right? And they're almost like, well, just do this or this, or whatever. My kids don't. And it isn't sharing a narrative and listening. It becomes more, well, I know because I've been through it.
Right. So the support system, it seems to work best when the children are in a similar age group.
Sort of.
Generation.
I think it also just depends on the generation of the person. Right? Because I have also another friend who actually has grandchildren, but we can talk.
Right.
And I think it's just the idea of we as women, in a certain generation, have learned the importance of just listening to each other and hearing the story and the narrative, rather than I have to interject my advice into it.
And be the all.
And just saying, I'm really sorry that's happening to you, or I can see why you would be upset by that, rather than,
You're right.
So
then starting any of the guilt or judgment.
Or advice. Number 4 is I try to prioritize positive experiences. So focus on being together and enjoying each other, rather than always being on the go and seeking out experiences or spending a lot of money.
Yeah, the whole FOMO, fear of missing out syndrome that's happening. Well, we observe it in younger families. This whole, everything has to be an experience.
Well, and just the idea that kids have to be on the travel soccer and on this and on that and doing this and doing that. And when our kids were growing up, they had one thing every season that they did.
Yeah.
Summer. And then they didn't that. And then we had lots of time where we did a lot of bike riding together as a family and hiking.
But we also did a lot of, today we're staying home and you're playing.
Yeah, they played.
Or as they got older, you're reading or
hanging out. We always had a swimming pool that they had access to. or they're having their friends over or
Mhm.
whatever. But we didn't, like, we couldn't afford to go and do all kinds of different things.
No,
We just couldn't afford it. So
but I don't think we would have if we had been able to.
probably not. We just weren't the type. I like being at home. So number 5 is taking time for yourself, and self-care looks different for every mother and every person. So you can't really say, oh, that person isn't. For me, a self-care enough is sometimes just like finishing a book I really want to read. And when somebody tries to interrupt me saying, I'm reading this book now, stop, don't talk to me.
Right. You didn't have to go to a spa and then get a massage and
No.
then get your nails done for
No.
it to be self-care.
No, I didn't. Well, we couldn't afford that then.
No, but
It was, and it just, I just didn't, that
I'm just
wasn't
trying to
my
think
choice.
of the audience of the different moms out
Yes,
there.
yeah,
that
and
of
but if that
self-care
is
being
your
a different-
thing,
Yeah.
that's fine. Like,
Yes.
there's nothing wrong with that as self-care.
No, it's just the expectation that if that's what you enjoy, that you think all the other women should enjoy.
No, I think that's, the thing about not judging.
Mm-hmm.
And number 6 is always take time to eat properly and to find ways to make food that you love and that feeds your soul, and not just always what your
The
kids love.
Yeah. So that you're always just, well, I mean, we always tried to stretch and challenge our kids' palate and not cave to
And I
them.
did not cook two meals.
No. There was no, it wasn't a restaurant. They ate what was there.
Yeah, we just didn't do that.
No.
Busy isn't always best. Slow down and say no to some things, even extra stuff for your kids. They don't always have to play every sport or do everything that every other kid is doing. And that sort of winds into the same. It's just a
Mhm.
little bit more direct. That one's a bit more general about,
Right.
kind of. Motherhood involves a unique blend of profound love, intense responsibility, and the constant journey of growth and learning. It's a transformative experience marked by both immense joy and unexpected challenges. So that's a big learning for mothers, that it's not like when you see sometimes on the internet, it's just like, oh, I love my children and my this and that. And meanwhile, sometimes you just want to pick them up and toss them across the road because they're like that's
Right.
but you still intensely love them, even though you,
Right. At that moment, they're making a lot of bad choices.
yeah, or you're tired,
Or you're tired.
Yeah.
Or hangry.
Make sure you are fostering independence in your children. Love and let go, and make sure that you step back when they are struggling to let them find their way through.
And as we'll discover in future episodes, this is also a very important role of the father or the second parent.
Yeah.
And that's to draw them away from that cloying
Yeah.
cleanliness.
And trying to not hang, with Sebastian as the youngest one, I really tried to not hang on to him as my baby.
Right.
I loved his independence and his growing up, rather
Mhm.
than missing that he wasn't.
Oh, he's
gonna
my
be-
youngest.
He's my, yeah.
Well, we were both the babies in our family.
Well, and our kids were so close together that it was hard to think of them. Anyway.
Right.
And number 10, routine is the friend of motherhood. Eating properly, bedtimes, chores and responsibilities, accountability for their things and their behavior. Always consider how your child is going to manage 20 years
in the future.
and that is when it does matter. 5 minutes, 5 years, it does. Because
every single 5-minute increment of them learning to do something independently and being accountable for how they acted and what they said paid off.
And we've
later on.
done, I think we've done fairly well with that, and our kids both live independently and are successful at it and can do their laundry and cook for themselves and have jobs and go up and down.
And have had to teach other coworkers how to sweep
things and So the next little section, I found 18 random mothers describe motherhood. For me, motherhood is seeing the profound value in learning who your children are and then encouraging and teaching them to be the best versions of themselves. It is my greatest hope that this acceptance and unconditional love will empower and strengthen my children as well as foster self-confidence and kindness.
Right. I'm happy to read some so that
Yeah,
you're
go
not.
ahead.
Motherhood is truly a remarkable gift and a privilege that I hold very close to my heart. To me, being a mother means to be fearless, to be a positive role model, to be a continuous cheerleader for every milestone my children will experience, to demonstrate the abundance of unconditional love that has no end, and to cherish the countless memories that is truly priceless.
To me, being a mother is the greatest job in the world, helping my girls through all the things life throws at them while also lifting them up so they can reach for the stars and grab one. That's what being a mom is all about, always being there. The shoulder to cry on, the cheerleader to never give up, the one that gives the standing ovation, the familiar hand to hold.
Being a mother means being completely and totally overwhelmed in the best possible way by love, joy, responsibility, and selflessness. Motherhood means sleepless nights, big belly laughs, caterpillars on the coffee table, finger painting in the kitchen, stubbed toes, and gapped tooth grins. Motherhood has made life more colorful than I ever knew it could be. Being a mom means I have two little people who walk around with my heart and soul in the palms of their sweet, smudgy hands. And also when they grow up.
Yeah. To me, being a mother means getting to see all the possibility in the world through your children's eyes, and also wanting to be the kindest and most generous version of yourself so that your children can look up to you. On a day-to-day level, being a mother means being tired, sometimes grumpy, and never left alone, and then in one funny, loving, or meaningful moment with your kids, realizing that it's all completely worth it, times 1,000,000.
Being a mother means being an emotional blankie for your children. They snuggle with you at night, run to you when they're hurt, and stand behind you in scary situations. There's nothing more warm and fuzzy.
For me, being a mother means it is my responsibility to give my children the tools they need to live a happy and meaningful life. In the case of my daughters, and she names them, I wanted to empower them with a skill set that would allow them to create independent careers and avoid the glass ceiling. They are on their way with confidence, and the sky is the limit. Well, not really. It's outer space. But anyway, whatever.
Being a mother means knowing when to talk and knowing when to listen, understanding that there is no learning curve. Every day is an adventure, especially when you are raising 3 boys. I would not trade my best day before my kids were born for the worst day after. Motherhood is a lifetime adventure, the hardest non-paying 24-hour job you'll ever do, and my greatest achievement.
Being a mom means that sacrificing my body, my time, my finances, my sleep, and my mental health to raise my kids will be worth it in the end, because life isn't about me anymore. I just hope my kids survive my weaknesses and realize I love them more than anything.
Parenting is raising a child to be the best they can be. Being a mother is different. It means providing that indescribable feeling of comfort, no matter the age of the child. It's being that person you call on that makes you feel better and doesn't even need to say anything.
Being a mother means learning, listening, leading, laughing, loving, and living in the moment, all while executing the myriad details of life with aplomb. Well, I don't necessarily agree with that, but whatever.
Well, you just put random quotes.
Yeah, no. Well, I just think it's interesting to see how entrenched we are in these ideas of what, because these are very similar, right?
Yeah.
To what, but they don't really allow you the freedom to kind of say, I'm tired, or I'm this, and they kind of do, but
sometimes
yeah,
it's you have to push that down and squelch it out.
And a lot of these things, like this is true. Motherhood is to sleep with one eye open and always worry, to constantly feel guilty about something, to have your heart so filled with love you think it might explode and then have it broken all in the space of less than 60 seconds. To be a guide, coach, cheerleader, policewoman, superhero, kissy monster, friend, and confident, even when you have the flu and all you want to do is hide under the covers. To do your best and remember in the hardest of times that the tantrums will pass, teenagers grow out of it, nothing ends a bad parenting moment like a big hug, and most importantly, that it's okay not to be perfect.
And it's okay to tell your husband or partner to
Yeah.
get the kids out of the
where we're
house
going.
when I have the flu and I just want to be under the blankets.
Yes, but I think this is where we're going next, is to kind of dispel some of this feeling that the mother is it, with some very interesting research about fatherhood.
Being a mother means having my heart permanently stitched to my sleeve. I don't know what is that.
Your heart on your sleeve,
okay.
yeah.
Out there and vulnerable and afraid, yet somehow finding such fulfillment and hope that I'm able to appreciate the extraordinary journey. Though it is maddening and terrifying at times, it is also glorious and beautiful. And the most absurd part is that I do it all over again in a heartbeat.
What it means to be a mother is to put your own problems and issues aside and guide your children through life's adventures with a happy and positive attitude. Most importantly, a mother must engage her children in topics of interest to them, even if they are not interesting to her. That's true. And show them how to explore those topics in a meaningful way. Childhood is full of magic, and a mom has to allow that to last as long as she can. Moms have to be creative to keep the magic alive while teaching important skills and values. Of course, this is a tall order, and moms are not perfect, so it is equally important to say sorry when we need to. And I'm saying that in all these quotes,
yeah,
you could substitute father.
Yeah, I was about to say something like that.
Like you can substitute father for literally any of it.
The other one, that the start of this one is like through life with a happy and positive attitude. That reminds me of the 1950s guides for women on how to welcome their husbands home from work.
Yeah, right. There are so many responsibilities that come with being a mother, from the time when they're babies in your arms to teenagers becoming more independent. You always want to help. With something like the environmental crisis, that's a burden that our generation might leave for our kids, and I want to do everything I can to help. That's where my profession, whatever she is, ties into my passion as a mother. I aim to use digital games to highlight the beauty of the natural world, whatever the thing is.
Yeah. Being a mother means getting your toddler into his car seat as fast as possible and without any tantrums, when all he wants is to drive the car himself. It means leaving the house earlier so you have a few extra minutes to let him sit in the front seat in the driveway and drive before going anywhere. Being a mother means trying to make the best of every situation, choosing your battles and planning ahead.
True. A mother never says to her child, "You owe me." This is why her love is boundless, endless, seamless, selfless, and unconditional. That is why her love multiplies and divides to embrace her own children and then theirs. There is a Mother Teresa in every mother, and she should be celebrated on Mother's Day and every day. Yeah. Being a mother with its challenges and rewards has shaped me into the person I never imagined I could become. Protecting and advocating for our children is something all mothers strive for, and for me, this is especially true for my child with autism, who needs me as an advocate and a voice. It's been the best assertiveness training. And then I just found this little poem, and I think sometimes this is a good thing for parents, like mothers. I know we're focused on mothers, but parents.
That's fine.
It says, aim for a clear mind, peaceful heart. Look for the rhythms of grace and release the desire to control outcomes. Experience soul deep rest.
Do not actively chew on your worries and sorrows. Do not feed fear and anxiety. Accept your limits. Rest.
Your worth is not based on your performance. Take a deep breath and move forward. Force your mind to stop spinning. Meditate and slow your mind. Stop striving and straining to control things.
We are chosen to love others and be faithful and good.
Take time to be still. Cease, relax, withdraw, and let go. Be intentional with your time. I just think that's a beautiful way to think of being a parent.
Did you know the author by any chance?
It came from a book I read. I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay. So that is our second episode on motherhood, and coming up in June,
I'll let you talk about
we're going to explore fatherhood. And the books worth reading is Do Fathers Matter? What science is telling us about the parent we've overlooked. And this is by Paul Rayburn.
I'm very excited about this book. I'm excited about reading it because I'm
about halfway through. It's very good.
We've always talked about the mother's mental load, and I think sometimes we push away the father even when he or she, and make them feel like they actually aren't good enough.
Yep.
And in order to,
And it's not.
I want to
it's
say
not just
some-
the wife that does it to
we
the husband.
complain-
It's all of society.
yes,
does
and
it.
we complain about, fathers and what they're not planning ahead and not doing all that mental load stuff. However, when you become a mother, it's not natural that you are good at all that.
No,
You develop it over time.
exactly.
So the fact that we don't allow the father in
They won't
means
develop.
they don't
that-
develop it,
They don't
and then we're
develop those
angry
muscles.
at them
Mm.
for not having it.
And it's a muscle we haven't had a chance to.
And then we say, oh, that's men, or that's this, or that's that. When in fact, if we had allowed them to develop that skill the same way that mothers do because of societal expectations and all that,
right.
then they'd be doing it too. But
Mhm.
there, all of a sudden you have a 10 and a 12-year-old and you want your husband to be planning birthday parties and doing all these things that you have done and not step back because the way you just do it instead of including him
Right.
in it.
Yep. And it's interesting. I've met guys where they are the planners, but it's context. Like they do the trips,
Yes.
and that's all they do.
Mhm.
And they say, "Well, that's my thing. I don't do."
But I
parties."
mean,
But-
if you started with it was hard. Zachary's first birthday party was very hard, and so was Sebastian's because we had
yeah, we were
illness.
we were
and
losing
death,
parents,
and it was
and
just,
yeah,
it was. But we planned those together.
yes,
You did. You took care of certain aspects of the party.
yep, that barn,
Yeah,
and the train,
Yeah, but I mean,
the cakes,
and
yeah,
setting things up and making sure,
Yeah.
we did that together. And then subsequent parties, you were very involved in what was happening for the kids, for the parties.
yeah, as often as I.
You
And
were-
we planned them for weekends so that you could be there.
Yes.
So,
So I don't know. I think there's a thing about not including fathers in there from the beginning, and then they don't develop in the same way that mothers do. And yes, we have hormones, but I think anyway, we're gonna get
that's
into all
another
that.
whole.
Yeah, that's another whole thing. So the whole thing about do fathers matter? We're going to be talking about dads in June because dad is Father's Day.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us for episode 137, the lessons of motherhood and some thoughts about being a mother. And as a subsequent session to the book that we did in the first one in 136, all about mothers in May.
Good night.